In that raw vegan new earth, how long do we live?
No one really knows, Alex. And I've never claimed longevity as a benefit of eating raw food. Yet I know it is. I know that, for instance, people who take better care of themselves live longer, 5 to 10 years on average. That vegetarians live longer than mainstream people by 8 to 10 years, that vegans live another 7 or 8 years longer. The studies on raw food and raw fooders, I mean, my daughter's 20, she was raised on raw food. We have to wait another 80 or 100 years before we can even have our first long-term raw fooder to find out how long did they live. And this is because the developmental stages of life, the 0 to 20, the 0 to 14, the 0 to 28, really, most of the maturing that happens inside the body takes somewhere between 1 to 30 years before that growth process finally slows down. Those are known as developmental years. And even the farmers knew from way back when. They used a saying, a plant in need is early to seed. Amongst mammals, people who study longevity have found that typically a mammal will live about 5 times longer than it takes to reach puberty. And that the early onset of puberty that has happened over the last 100 years as the high animal diet, the refined food diet, the absolutely junk things to eat diet. I refuse calling it junk food. It is not food. All of these experiments have hastened the onset of puberty, and puberty, the age of puberty, has decreased many times over this last 100 years.
From what to what?
From roughly 16 to 18 for boys, now 12, 11, 10. It's really crazy. And the same gap for girls, where the onset of puberty was often 16, 14, 12. I'm seeing 10 and 8. There's 8-year-old pregnant girls. It's very scary seeing this earlier onset when longevity is geared towards a multiple or a factor of this number. So at 16 times 5, we have another almost 90 years to add to that 16, well, 80. And then when that goes down to 8, we have another 40 years to add to the 8. It's a huge decrease. So what we have seen, and what I used to say, was a 5 to 10 year increase in high level performance. So for instance, an athlete playing professional might get another 5 to 10 years of professional play.
Which we can see with someone like Novak Djokovic, for example.
Which we see in someone like Novak. Which we saw in the Williams sisters, who are eating raw. Which we saw in Martina Navratilova, who's a client of mine. Which we saw in Ronnie Grandison.
Venus and Serena Williams, they were raw.
Yes.
Most of their career?
Yes.
Wow.
Much of their career, certainly towards the end. My book was handed to them. We certainly see it in Ronnie Grandison, who's a client of mine in the 90s who played in the NBA. And he came to me for his last year of play and then ended up playing 6 more years. So until he retired by choice, not because he could have played more even, but he had other things in mind. So I've changed all that, though, a little. When one of my clients who really threw herself in, and she's just like so clean, and she competes in a sport called sprint canoe. And in sprint canoe, it's an all-out sprint. It's dominated by youngsters who have this high-end speed. And when she won the national championships at age 45, the next oldest competitor was 23. And she dominated. In fact, if she had been competing against the men, I think she'd have taken third or fourth in the entire United States against the men as well.
Wow, what's her name?
Her name is Pam Boteler. And now we're seeing it again with a swimmer that I'm working with. And her career had been okay, really okay. And then she went raw, and we started doing some fitness training together. And now she's gotten to a point, she competes in 3 disciplines, and she has the national record in all 3 disciplines. And she said the only records left to break are my own, which she fully intends to continue breaking records. But she's past that age, and it's fun to see this. So
what's her name?
Sarah. Oh, I've got to think for a second to tell you Sarah's last name.
Just for people if they want to look it up and dive deeper.
It's real fact. It'll come. It'll just jump into my head in a minute. And I've gotten to a point where I don't no longer say 5 to 10 years. I really don't know how many years. With me winning world championship at 72, I start thinking, well, maybe it's a longer extension than I thought, and maybe life extension as well, because most people, when I was 10, I passed for 20. I was shaving. I was bulky.
Okay, so it's not like your genetics or something.
No, when I was 20, people thought I was 30.
Well, also, just when you said you won at 72 for the championship of powerlifting, but that's a certain age category, right?
Yes, that's an age category, over 69.
Over 69. So you're still like a few years
I'm
over.
in the group.
Yeah.
But the point being, how many people even get there? Like, there's been many, many powerlifters. I have no idea how many millions of powerlifters there are in the world. Whatever they took or did or ate, lasting into the 70s is already a big deal. Feeling great in my 70s, a bigger deal. At this point, I mean, I recently did what they call a body scan, and it comes up with a they call it a calendar year's age, that your biologic age. And my biologic age came out at 55. So this is encouraging for me personally. How long are we meant to live? I can say there have been studies on parts. Like, how long will a heart last? How long will a brain last? Does it? They've determined, like, the knee is the least likely to last long. It's a very vulnerable structure, the human knee.
I just got a knee injury at paddle, so feeling that.
The doctors studied knees, and they said, well, a well taken care of knee will last at least 300 years. How long are humans designed? I don't know. The stories of early humans living 600 years, 900 years, maybe that was stories. I can say longer than we do. Certainly a longer life. And when I ask people, would they like a longer life? Many people say, no, I don't want to suffer. And I go, how about feeling young for your entire life? How long would you like to live? Feeling useful, feeling productive, feeling that you add value to other people's lives, feeling clear-minded, being part of a community. How long would you like it then?
It's almost like some people say it's not lifespan, it's health span. It's even more than health span, it's a thrive span.
It's a flourish span. Yeah, how long? I'm flourishing. I feel great. Every day is spectacular. I'm growing. I know I'm growing. I'm growing mentally. I'm growing physically. I'm growing spiritually. I'm growing emotionally. I'm learning things all the time. And as long as that can continue, I enjoy being here.